Hi, we are the Spacetime System. We're a system of mixed origin with about 6 or 7 of us. We thought we'd start making content because there are not enough people like us on YouTube and far too many cringe compilations. I'm Starling. I am the host of the system. Today I thought I'd give a little crash course on endogenic systems, why they're valid, and yeah. Endogenic is a catch-all umbrella term for those who are part of a plural system which they consider not to have been formed by trauma. At its heart, it's a belief that not all systems are required to have formed through trauma, or that systems don't have to be disordered to exist. It's become a point of contention in recent years due to pushback from the medically accepted plural community, as medically recognised plurality is generally agreed to have been formed through repeated or severe childhood trauma. Members of that community feel that endogenic systems are taking away from or somehow cheapening their experience. They seem to genuinely believe this is a recent phenomena, born of the increase of popularity of DID and OSDD plural experiences in social and mainstream media. In most circumstances, however, this is not the case. A study published in 1992 by anthropologist Doreen J. Hughes explored the differences in symptoms and functioning between those with DID, then known as multiple personality disorder, and those who experience spiritual plurality, specifically those known as trance channelers who fall into a medically dissociative state to allow what they believe to be spirits to communicate through them. The study uses the definition of more than one consciously experiencing psychological entity, each with some sense of its own identity or selfhood, relatively separate and discrete from other similar entities, to describe the co-consciousness state, therefore showing that it is specifically looking at symptoms of plurality. This study found that while both groups exhibit co-consciousness, extreme dissociative behavior, trance channels do not exhibit a high degree of psychopathology, and suggests that the independent variable with regard to psychopathological aspects of dissociation is whether or not the dissociative activity is trauma-induced, rather than where the activity might lie on a dissociative continuum. Put simply, the study suggests that while trance channelers do exhibit multiple personalities within one body, the lack of traumagenic cause is the main contributing factor differentiating it from a dissociative disorder. There are other studies which suggest the legitimacy of non-disordered or non-DID plurality, such as E.R. Hilgard's 1986 neo-dissociation theory, which suggests that hypnotism works by separating the consciousness into two distinct streams separated by an amnesic barrier. Temporary plurality. In fact, despite many assertions otherwise, the DSM-5 never specifies that trauma and distress are necessary to develop plurality, only disordered multiplicity. The diagnostic criteria specifies that the symptoms presented are not a normal part of a broadly accepted cultural or religious practice, suggesting that the other symptoms, particularly 2 or more distinct personality states, can indeed be present in spiritual practices. It also mentions that the symptoms must cause clinically significant distress or impairment in social, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. This is a section of criteria that many other disorders in the DSM contain for the purpose of not over-pathologizing otherwise acceptable mental states. The International Classification of Diseases, which is the global standard for recording health information, states that the presence of 2 or more distinct personality states does not always indicate the presence of a mental disorder, and that in some cases the presence of multiple personality states is not experienced as adversive and is not associated with impairment in functioning. This proves that yes, you cannot have DID or OSDD without trauma. It also proves that you do not need to have DID or OSDD to be plural. Furthermore, as endogenic is primarily a personal belief, there are many diagnosed disordered systems who consider themselves endogenic, and endogenic systems who are later diagnosed with DID or OSDD. The only real difference between a traumagenic and endogenic system is belief, their personal idea of where they came from. One of the primary arguments traumagenic systems have against endogenic systems is that endogenic systems steal terms and resources from disordered systems in need of them. To begin with, the idea that resources are finite is beyond ludicrous. As many endogenic systems do not consider themselves disordered, they are not going to be taking up space in DID specialist psychotherapist offices and the like. If they are in much of need of it as you are. Secondly, the term endogenic was, in fact, coined for the specific purpose of not using and appropriating DIT terms. Many of the terms used by endogenic systems were coined specifically to keep the endogenic community separate and out of traumagenic spaces. Let's look at some of these. Headmate. The word headmate originated in soul bonding communities. That is, communities of endogenic systems whose systems originated in the close bonding with a fictional character or entity in a supernatural sense. It was used as an alternative to alter to keep us out of the traumagenic community and has since been adopted by some members of the traumagenic community. Ironic. Headspace. The term headspace, with regards to systems, is almost exclusively used by endogenic systems to differentiate from the traumagenic inner world. Exotrauma. While the term exotrauma was coined by a traumagenic system, the original post specifies the term is for people who have trauma from other worlds, victims holding on to their own traumatic memories, past lives, and anything that didn't necessarily happen here. Endogenic. This may come as a surprise to many, but the term endogenic itself was coined by a traumagenic system, diagnosed with DID, who still use their platform to this day to spread endogenic awareness and positivity. We know this won't change many minds at all, if any. We know this because cis-medicalism at its core does not base itself around facts. Well, it does, but only a select list of facts that serve it. They do not realize that you cannot have DID without trauma, and you can be plural without having DID, are ideas that can and do coexist. It's sad, in a way, that these people have been hurt so deeply that the idea that others can exist as they do without the specific hurts they experience is alien and even aggravating to them. I truly hope they find the healing they are hoping for, but we know the truth, and we know that it is truly ludicrous to expect a diagnosis that many professionals do not believe even exists yet to be the most true and accurate depiction of our lives. The purpose of this video essay was mainly to corroborate the information we can find that does prove our existence, for those who are on the fence or those of us who feel we need it. We do not need to justify our existence. But I know the pains our minds put us through. So I hope this helps somewhat. And yeah, we're hoping to make more videos along this type. We are chronically ill, so we don't know how often that will be. Watch this space and follow our other socials for more frequent updates on existence as whatever the fuck we are.